Hey, everybody, welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about the body's influence on the brain. We're going to be talking about hormones and inflammation and gut health and blood sugar and detoxes and daily inputs as drivers of mood and cognition. One of the most freeing realizations that people can have is understanding that the brain does not work in isolation. For years, we've talked about mood and anxiety and focus, motivation, and emotional regulation as if they live purely in the mind, as if the solution has always to think differently, try harder, or manage emotions better. But the brain does not exist on its own. The brain is constantly responding to the body it lives in. It's listening to hormones. It responds to inflammation, blood sugar levels, gut signals, immune activity, sleep quality, and stress chemistry. All of that information is coming in every moment. And based on these signals, the brain decides how safe the world feels, how much energy is available, and how flexible or reactive our thoughts and emotions become. So when someone says, I feel anxious for no clear reason, or I don't feel like myself, or I know things are okay, but I still feel off, it's often not because something is wrong with their thinking. It's because the brain is responding to what the body is communicating. This is where root cause perspectives really matter so much. So instead of asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? A root cause approach would ask, why is my brain responding this way? That question removes shame and replaces it with understanding. It reminds us that symptoms are not failures, they're feedback. Let's start with hormones, because hormones are very powerful messengers between the body and the brain. Cortisol, insulin, thyroid hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all of these have direct influence on our mood, our focus, sleep, motivation, and emotional resilience. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, we've talked about it before. Cortisol is meant to rise briefly in the morning and then fall as the day goes on. But when stress becomes chronic, the cortisol levels can actually stay elevated. And over time, this actually reshapes how the brain processes threat. A brain exposed to constant stress hormones becomes more vigilant, becomes more reactive, and definitely much less flexible. And people in this state often feel anxious. They feel easily overwhelmed. They feel emotionally exhausted or unable to fully rest. Not because they're weak, but because their brain has been trained to stay on guard. Sex hormones matter just as much. Estrogen. Estrogen is something that really helps to support neurotransmitter balance. It helps to balance our emotions. Progesterone has a calming effect on the nervous system. Testosterone influences motivation, confidence, and energy. And so when these hormones fluctuate or decline, mood can shift quickly. Anxiety, irritability, low mood, or brain fog can appear when nothing in life has changed externally. Inflammation is another major driver of how the brain functions. Chronic inflammation doesn't just affect our joints or our digestion, it actually directly impacts mood and cognition. Inflammatory signals alter neurotransmitter activity, increase sensitivity to stress, and reduce emotional resilience. When inflammation is high, the brain is more likely to interpret neutral situations as threatening and to react more intensely. This is why inflammation often shows up as emotional irritability, anxiety, low mood, or mental fog. It's not imagined. It's actually a physiological process. The gut plays a central role here as well. The gut and the brain are in constant communication through nerves, immune signals, and chemical messengers. A significant amount of neurotransmitter activity is actually influenced by gut health. When the gut is inflamed or imbalanced, the brain often compensates by increasing vigilance. This can feel like anxiety, restlessness, or even difficulty focusing, or even symptoms like depression or emotional instability. Supporting the gut health often brings emotional calm, not because we're treating emotions directly, but because we're improving the quality of information the brain is receiving. Blood sugar. Blood sugar is one of the most practical and overlooked influences on brain health. The brain is one of the most energy demanding organs in the body, and it needs glucose as a constant fuel. So when blood sugar spikes or glucose spikes, and when it crashes, the brain experiences that instability as stress. Mood swings, irritability, anxious feelings, fatigue, shakiness, and poor focus are often signs of blood sugar dysregulation, not personality traits. This is where sugar enters the conversation. Sugar doesn't just affect weight or energy, it directly affects mood and emotional regulation. Every spike, followed by a crash, triggers stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And over time, repeated spikes train the brain to stay on edge because it never knows when the energy will drop again. This is why some people feel anxious or overwhelmed after eating sugar, even if nothing stressful is happening around them. Stabilizing blood sugar is one of the simplest ways to support emotional steadiness. When the brain can rely on consistent energy, it doesn't need to brace itself. Reactions soften, focus improves, patience increases. Caffeine, let's talk about that. Caffeine plays an essential role, especially in already stressed systems. In moderation, I love caffeine. It can definitely feel supportive, but in a body that's depleted, inflamed, or sleep deprived, caffeine acts like a fuel on a nervous system that's already overstimulated. Caffeine actually increases cortisol and adrenaline. Now, in a regulated system, that feels like alertness. In a dysregulated system, it feels like anxiety, racing thoughts, irritability, or emotional volatility. Many people who describe themselves as anxious are actually overstimulated and underrested. They're tired, but wired. Reducing or better timing caffeine often leads to noticeable improvements in mood, sleep, and emotional presence, not because something good was removed, but because unnecessary stress was taken away. Let's talk about inflammatory foods. Now, certain foods can shape brain function more than most people realize. Foods that trigger inflammation, whether that's excess sugar, ultra-processed foods, refined carbohydrates, industrial seed oils, or personal food sensitivities, activate the immune system. Those immune signals don't stay in the gut, they reach the brain. Inflammation lowers frustration tolerance, increases emotional reactivity, and makes regulation more effortful. This is why some people feel foggy, irritable, or even emotionally flat after certain meals, even if digestion seems fine. Again, this isn't about restriction or food rules, it's about awareness. Food is one of the most frequent signals we send to the brain. Alcohol deserves some mention here as well. While it may feel calming initially, alcohol actually disrupts your sleep, blood sugar, your gut health, neurotransmitter balance, and for many people, next day anxiety, irritability, low mood, brain fog. All of these things can be directly tied to alcohol's effects on the brain and the body. Let's talk about the body's natural detoxification mechanism. Detox pathways also influence how the brain feels. The body is constantly processing hormones, metabolic waste, and environmental exposures. When detox pathways are overwhelmed or sluggish, these substances circulate longer than they should, contributing to inflammation and mental fog. Supporting detoxification doesn't mean extreme cleanses. It means hydration, nutrient sufficiency, liver support, regular elimination, and reducing unnecessary toxic load. All of these factors feed into the nervous system. And when the body is under constant physiological stress, the nervous system stays activated. And in that state, emotional regulation becomes harder and recovery takes longer. The brain isn't broken in these moments. It's actually responding to what it's being given. This is why telling someone to just calm down or change their mindset doesn't work when the body is dysregulated. The brain cannot regulate well in an environment that feels unsafe at a physiological level. So that begs the question, what actually helps? A root cause approach to brain health focuses on supporting the body so the brain can do what it was designed to do. Sleep is foundational. Sleep is when the brain clears waste, processes emotion, and resets stress responses. Without adequate sleep, our mood and our cognition suffer no matter how motivated or self-aware someone is. Nutrition matters as fuel and information, not perfection. Consistent meals, adequate protein, healthy fats, and key nutrients definitely help to stabilize blood sugar, support hormones, and reduce inflammation. Small changes repeated over time matter far more than extremes. Movement. This supports the brain by improving circulation, reducing inflammation, signaling safety to the nervous system. Gentle, regular movements are often more regulating than intense exercises in already stressed systems. So think about that. Now, reducing overstimulation is also something that is very important. Less sugar, steadier meals, more intentional caffeine use, fewer inflammatory foods, more rhythm. These aren't restrictions. They're signals of safety. And faith belongs here naturally. Caring for the body is not separate from spiritual life. Scripture reminds us that rest matters, nourishment matters, and that we're not designed to carry constant strain. Faith, when rooted in relationships rather than pressure, becomes regulating. Prayer, stillness, meditation, and surrender remind the brain that it doesn't have to solve everything. Meaning shapes perception, and perception shapes physiology. When the brain is anchored in trust rather than urgency, emotional regulation becomes more accessible. As we end this conversation, I want to leave you with something simple but important. If your mood has felt unstable, if your thoughts feel louder than they used to, or if your energy feels unpredictable, that does not mean that you are weak, broken, or failing at life. It means that your brain has been responding faithfully to the body it lives in. Your brain is not the enemy. It's adaptive, it is protective, and it's deeply responsive to care. When you begin to support your body at the root by creating steadier rhythms, reducing unnecessary stress, nourishing consistently, and allowing rest, you are not just helping your physical health. You're giving your brain permission to stand down from survival mode. And when the brain no longer has to stay on high alert, clarity returns, emotions soften, presence becomes possible again. Faith reminds us that restoration is not something we force. It's something we receive and participate in over time. Scripture speaks often about rest, renewal, and the quiet work of restoration. These aren't abstract ideas. They are deeply embodied realities. A body that feels supported allows the mind to renew. A mind that renews creates space for peace. You don't need to overhaul your life to begin this work. Small, consistent shifts matter more than dramatic changes. One steadier meal, one gentler morning, one earlier night of rest. These are not small signals to the brain. They're actually reminders that safety is returning. At Your Health Your Way, this is what we believe. Healing is not about control, discipline, or perfection. It's actually about alignment. When the body is cared for, the brain remembers how to regulate, and the spirit has room to lead again. If there is one thing to carry with you after this episode, let it be this: you are not behind. Your body has been doing its best to protect you. And with understanding, patience, and trust, restoration is not only possible, it's already beginning. Thanks for joining, my friend. See you next time.
This podcast is for general informational and inspirational purposes and does not constitute the practice of medicine or any healthcare services. No doctor-patient relationship is established, and the content in these episodes is not intended to diagnose, treat, or give medical advice, nor is this a substitute for seeking professional medical care. The use of the information discussed is at the user's own risk.